Did you know you can reduce or eliminate transitions between the saw blade and water jet or router bit by using park and pause? I'll show you how to do it.
We can significantly reduce and sometimes eliminate secondary tool operations from either our water jet or our mill bit if we place the parts on our slab in a proper order. We might normally do our layout something like this, starting with the largest part in the bottom left and bringing the rest in. But I can't cut all my parts out using just the saw blade with this layout. There are just too many complications where I couldn't completely saw out one part without cutting into another with the overtravel of the blade. But if I think about ordering cuts and removing parts, I can. If I made these 4 cuts first and then a park and pause, I could remove this piece. And then we could make this cut, and this cut, and pause to remove these 2 pieces, and then this cut and this cut to remove this piece, then this cut and this cut to remove this piece, and finally this cut and this cut to finish our program. And of course, if we would extend some of our saw cuts, our leftover usable area would be more manageable, with the exception of a few over-travel blade marks. We could easily eliminate this one if we cut all our backsplash oversize and then cut them to length on site. We could do this very easily by deleting the existing shorter backsplash and replacing them with the same length as the longest one. Since all 4 ends would be cut at the same time, it would reduce the number of park and pauses from 4 to 2 and also eliminate one of the overtravel marks. But I'll have the saw cut each backsplash to the exact length. This will just require a few more pauses to remove parts out of the way. We'll start by using Auto Toolpath as we normally do. And I can use, but I won't need to apply tight cuts. So I'll just turn them off for this example. Then I can select all my parts and finish to apply the toolpaths. And when programming the saw, it will leave red lines representing the areas that did not get cut. And if you're programming the saw jet, you will see the red water jet toolpaths if you didn't check blade cuts only while applying them. In any case, remove either the red lines or the red water jet cuts. Now we can use Extend Trim to Point to extend all of the saw cuts to the end of the parts. Since there were no blade cuts applied to these 2 ends of the backsplash, we'll apply manual saw cuts. And to use it, I'll first check the material thickness. And if I select the geometries as prompted, I'll notice that this rectangle is still joined. So it will apply cuts to all 4 sides, which of course we don't want or need. But if we first explode the geometries, we'll be able to cut just the sides that we intend to when we use manual saw cut. And the cut will be applied to the outside of the shape. That was defined when we auto toolpathed. Next, we'll extend the cuts to the border like we normally do, but we'll make sure that we extend enough cuts so we can remove enough of our scrap to easily remove our parts without disturbing the uncut material. And if you choose to reverse tool direction, do it at this time before we change the order of the cuts. I'm going to use the 1, 2, 3 order method from the Edit toolbar. This is the easiest and quickest way to organize our cuts in Operation 1. But it won't order or intermix any of the cuts that are in Operation number 2. We usually see Operation 2 as either water jet cuts or mill bits. So we'll move these 2 blade cuts that we added into Operation number 1 along with the other blade cuts using the red arrow. And now we can arrange all of our blade cuts using the 1, 2, 3 order method. We're going to select Tool Paths, and we're going to set the method to Manual. Select Move First Path to start, and I also like to display the labels. And as prompted, we'll start picking the tool paths in the order that we want the saw to cut them. So I'll cut this one first, this one second, this one third, and then this one fourth before I remove this part with the park and pause. And then I can make this cut and this cut and this cut to remove these 2 pieces. And then I can make this cut and this cut to remove this part, and then this cut and this cut to remove this part, and finally we'll finish the program with these 2 cuts. And this function will close and reorganize all the cuts after we've selected them all. You can review their order by clicking on the top one and pressing the down arrow on your keyboard. And after we've completed all our toolpath edits and we're happy with the order, the very last thing that we'll do is add in the park and pause. And we can change the operator message if we wish. This message will appear on the screen of the controller when the machine does the park and pause. Just click in the message field and then type in your new message and press enter when you're finished. Then we can start adding our park and pauses by pressing the green button. We'll select the toolpath that we want the machine to park and pause after. So following the order that I set my cuts, I want the machine to park and pause after this one, so I'll select it by clicking on it. And then I'll click OK on my confirmation message. And then after the cut along the left side, and this cut, I would want the machine to park and pause. So I'll select it, and then click OK. And then I'd like a park and pause after this one, and then the fourth and final park and pause after this one and this one. And as normal, I'll right-click to finish. And we can verify that we have 4 park and pauses, which are displayed as direct inputs in our operations panel. And the only modification that you can make is to delete them by right-clicking on and choosing Edit Direct Input. And then you could highlight one and choose Delete if you wished. These are displayed in the order that they were applied. And I find the best way to confirm that the park and pauses are correct is to turn them on so that I can see them displayed at the end of the cuts. And then I'll select the top cut path in my operations panel and press the arrow down so I can see the order of the cuts and the placement of the park and pauses. And finally, I can send the G-code like any other program.
Thank you for watching. Now you know what I know. One more thing. Did you know that we have hundreds of resources available on our website for machine training and service? To find them, go to parkindustries.com. Thank you for choosing Park Industries.